Hello and welcome to my controversial video. I am in drag because I am queer. So in drag, my name is Juniper J, and out of drag, my name is Kylie, and I go by she, they pronouns, and I am a proud queer theater creator.
Throughout my college experience, I've been fascinated with the world of queer theater and the way it shapes our industry and society. But I wanted to focus on our approach in the 21st century. How do big-name Broadway musicals represent our community?
My hypothesis is that we've come a long way in the representation of LGBTQ people on Broadway.
To properly gauge the representation in our industry, I wanted to narrow it down to 21st century musicals and also have it be original stories, and they must be nominated for a Tony Award or have a present fan base, and they must have been made in the United States originally. Let's get started! In 2004, Broadway experienced one of the weirdest and most controversial shows ever to be produced. Avenue Q was the story of a group of puppets and people who were trying to survive on a frankly shitty block in New York City. How is this queer? Well, they had a closeted character in the show named Rod. Rod perpetuates many gay stereotypes. He loves musicals, his favorite being Pal Joey, takes a lot of care in his appearance, and has a high-pitched voice.
Is it a negative or a positive representation of gay men?
I'm going to say it's sort of in the middle. We see this character move from being insecure in his sexuality to coming to accept it along with his friends. Is it groundbreaking? Not necessarily. Rod was just a supporting character, which unfortunately is very common for queer people in most media. In 2015, Fun Home hit the Broadway scene. I know, I'm breaking my rule a little bit about it being original, but it was based off of a graphic novel, which is based off of the real life of Alison Bechdel, but the musical includes a little more content than the book. This is the coming-of-age story of Alison Bechdel. She's a lesbian woman who grew up with a closeted gay father in a funeral home. We see her grow as a person and even get a girlfriend halfway through the show. Her father and her have a weird, rocky relationship. She then becomes aware of her father's history with men. She tries to relate with him as a blossoming adult. He then kills himself by walking in front of a truck. Allison must find a way to deal with his death while trying to understand what happened in his life. It has non-linear storytelling. It's just like someone's memory. One memory triggers the next, all leading to the depressing ending. This musical is about the gay experience, something that a lot of people can relate to. There's an honesty in this story, a sort of honesty that really goes there when you least expect it. Almost every LGBTQ plus person I know, myself included, loves this story. The 2015 Tony Award performance of Ring of Keys was groundbreaking, and I was sort of in awe of it. It put the things I felt as a young girl into words. It also features a dazzling performance of Sydney Lucas, who was nominated for Best Featured Actress at the age of 11.
I think this is a great piece of not only queer theater, but musical theater in general.
Next on our queer docket is The Prom. Now, many know this is a not great movie. Once again, it features James Corden as he is making a desperate attempt to be the face of the movie musical. Seriously, I'm not going to be surprised if he shows up to play Usnavi in the Heights movie. Anyway, before there was a movie, there was the 2018 Broadway musical. The Prom is about a high school lesbian couple in Indiana who are barred from going to their prom together. A group of Broadway actors find out about their conflict and make their way down to Indiana to help them get the night that they deserve. Here's where the controversy comes in. I think that this isn't really a great addition to queer theater. Do we have gay people in this? Hell yeah. Do we get a queer story? Yeah, but is it really focused on the gay couple and their problems? LOL. Not really. It's more so focused on the actors that are helping them out. Granted, some of the actors identify as gay, but a lot of them are stereotypical gays that we're so used to seeing. You have the flamboyancy, which is accurate just the way that some queer people act, but when you see that trope in movie after movie, play after play, it becomes stale and gimmicky. It's no longer a character. It's an accessory. I don't think The Prom story challenges the audience. To me, The Prom reads as a musical straight people go to see to prove that they don't hate queer people. It's not showing the real sides of gay romance and relationships. Again, if you love this musical, all good for you, but I also want to look at this from a critical eye. Even casting James Corden, a man who by all accounts seems like a straight white man, to play a gay man, complete with a fake lisp, just gives off bad vibes.
Finally, we get to the last and possibly most controversial of all of these shows.
Right before the pandemic hit, Jagged Little Pill premiered on Broadway. It was a jukebox musical based off the album by Alanis Morissette. There are a lot of plot points in this musical, and too many things happen, so I can't really give a short summary on it. But I will say it deals with drugs, sexual assault, race, and LGBTQ issues. However, I want to focus on one particular couple. Frankie and Joe are portrayed by Celia Rose Gooding and Lauren Patton. Frankie is a bisexual woman who is seeing Joe, a gay woman. They have a pretty tumultuous relationship throughout the show, eventually breaking up. In the original off-Broadway, Joe was a non-binary character. Interesting, but why would they cast a cis woman like Lauren to play a non-binary character? There are plenty of talented they-them actors out there. Why not give them a chance? But nonetheless, there is a character that an underrepresented group gets to cling to, and they're gonna take that story to Broadway. Amazing. And then they just decided that the character wasn't going to be non-binary anymore. I can't say for sure if it was the creative team, producers, or whatever, but it happened. Not only did it erase the only major actual non-binary character in a major Broadway musical, but they also did what I consider to be the most insulting cliche ever. Remember how I said Joe and Frankie broke up? You want to know why? It's because Frankie, the bisexual, cheated on them. We have seen this trope time and time again. The bisexual character is labeled a slut and cheats on their partner. If you don't believe me, check out other quote-unquote revolutionary pieces of LGBTQ theater. Rent. They do the exact same thing. Maureen is a bi woman and she's a notorious cheater. Not only the theater industry does this, but we can also cite it in other media like Basic Instinct, Game of Thrones, Glee, and so much more. It's a harmful stereotype that effectively makes a bisexual character look like a fucking villain. I actually had an interview with a non-binary person named Lancer who runs an account on Instagram dedicated to spreading the word of the harmful erasure in Jagged Little Pill. When asked what they thought of the erasure of Joe's identity, they said, "Non-binary folks have had enough erasure in the world as is, labeled as outsiders and the weird third gender, when we are everything but that. The erasure, especially coming from one of the most woke shows on Broadway, is proof of Broadway's transphobia."
I also interviewed my friend Maya, a trans woman, about cisgender people playing trans roles.
I think that casting a non-cisgender person in a role really gives it the depth and emotion that it needs. Humans have tons of layers, and once you're able to get a trans identity or a non-binary identity into that, they're able to get a certain level of emotion that cisgender people aren't able to get.
Absolutely agree with both of them on all of these accounts, honestly. Every single one of these shows, with the possible exception of Fun Home, is guilty of the same thing. They're guilty of casting straight or cisgendered actors as queer and trans characters. A good chunk of popular gay characters are played by straight people. There haven't been enough queer stories made by queer people, portrayed by queer people, and that's not to mention the lack of queer people of color stories.
The modern Broadway is almost the same as it's always been. It is still run by sexist, racist, homophobic, transphobic, body-shaming white dudes who are just looking to make money.
A lot of queer Broadway musicals have to tone it down to appeal to not challenge predominantly straight audiences, to make them feel good about queer people, to give them an ally pin, and I will be the first to admit it. My hypothesis was wrong. We have not come a long way. In regard to the success of Jagged Little Pill, I think we may have taken a step back.
So, how can we have better representation in our theater community and Broadway? The answer is quite simple. We need to amplify people of color's voices and queer people's voices. We should be hiring more diverse people and let their stories be told and let our cries be heard. Authenticity is key. Do better.